Hi, I'm Anders Ramsden, CEO and one of the co-founders of FUNDSaiQ. And we're a group of industry veterans who will revolutionize the global fund advisory market. And this is an industry, as we know, which is way overdue for a technology-driven upgrade. And we have an operational B2B institutional grade platform that finally is going to provide transparency, accuracy, and flexibility to the industry. So I can ask you in the audience, do you feel like a well-informed mutual fund investor? Well, if you are, you're one of the lucky 1%, if you think you are, because that's how few mutual fund managers that actually add value over the best passives consistently over time. And the group, very proud team. We all have 20 to 30 years of experience from executive level at wealth managers or mutual fund managers or developing tech at large institutions like Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and many, many more. We have great partners. We're partnering with Refinitiv, which is part of London Stock Exchange for raw data. We're partnering with MSCI, which is providing our ESG data. We're partnering with Morningstar, and we're partnering with a really cool company called Curation Corp for curated news flow for our top funds. So what is the problem? Well, the industry has always been about an inside-out perspective and not putting clients truly first. And we're about to change that. So what is the problem? Well, financial performance ranking is not done in a proper way, the way it should be done, the way the market looks like. It assumes that average is good as a starting point for evaluating funds. There's no proper benchmarking. It's very relationship driven. They sell products where the highest commission is being awarded. Monitoring, well, very limited monitoring capabilities, if any. ESG filtering, it's set on a relative and not absolute basis. And by that, I mean, me as a client may want to have zero black oil in my pension funds. The way it's done today is basically that Morningstar can award 4 or 5 globes showing good ESG rating if you have the best black oil company in the fund. And we don't think that's the way clients look at it today. Compliance, well, this is done in Excel today, and it's a big data problem. There's just so much data out there if you want to sort of account for all these things. There's billions of calculations that needs to be done, and fund advisors simply don't have accurate information, and therefore they're not compliant. So what is the solution? Well, we have a B2B one-stop shop platform for fund selection and monitoring. And the way we do it is we basically cluster the funds, then we look at which is the best passive alternative in this category. And then we look at what is actually skill versus luck. So we try to sort out the ones that actually are skilled and providing value add over passives over time. And that's how we define skill. And we also have a tailored ESG filter. So you can tick a box and basically opt in or opt out for whatever you think is important for you. As simple as it is for you to buy an electric car or eco-friendly eggs, you know. And we measure this down to a security level. So we measure this across 200 ESG criteria across 14,000 individual stocks. So a lot of data. And we also provide monitoring, and monitoring if a fund falls out of the top group of performing funds, or if they have a style drift, or if they acquire a black oil company or a security in Russia. Again, the way it's done today is very, very labor intensive. They have armies of people doing monitoring and selection for this today. So we have a super powerful engine. Somebody calculated and said there's more than 2 billion calculations done on our platform. It's powered by AI and machine learning. We have a super user-friendly interface and great client feedback. What are the benefits? Well, you can take out and actually streamline the process by you know, some of organizations have between 10 or 150 people doing fund selection and monitoring. You can redeploy these people. Break even is just at one redeployment of one FTE. You get higher revenues because you're going to have a greater chance of recommending better funds to your clients and therefore having higher revenues over time. Clients will be super happy because for the first time, you can actually show, and it's not a black box, you can show the client why you're recommending a certain fund. Compliance will also go up. Huge market, 40 billion global TAM. It's a SaaS platform, a monthly subscription fee, no installations needed, very high gross margins based on existing contracts with our suppliers. We have a great roadmap, enhanced ESG capabilities, geographical expansion, asset class expansion, and portfolio management capabilities. And we're raising now $1 million, and this is going to be used for sales and marketing to roll it out in the US and in the Middle East, where we've also been awarded the Qatari Accelerated program as well. And it's also going to be used for paying just some bills for the data acquisition. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. We will now turn it over to our panelists, and Mark, you will tag in first.
Sure. Yeah, I think, again, in the 6-minute format or whatever format we're in, the short format, I think you got to your solution at 2.5 minutes. So you spent the first half of the pitch kind of saying the same thing, in my view, which is, you know, customers are confused, or retail investors are confused, and benchmarking in a true way of indexing and scoring and evaluating mutual funds or the managers behind that versus passive is, you know, it's an unexplored and inefficient space. So, which I totally believe in. It's funny, I just talked to an RIA like 2 or 3 weeks ago who says they do the same thing, right? They've built this proprietary approach and they use Excel, and, you know, the reason they're not building a software product is because they're an RIA and they want us to have a long-term advisory relationship and charge fees.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a crowded, it's a crowded space, and I get the value proposition, but I would just push solution and push the differentiated. Again, when I keep saying an edge, like, here's the edge we're employing against this problem, and here's how we've done it in this product. Otherwise, I'm thinking you're just another, you know, team of 5, 6, 7, 8 awesome people from finance who have really good ideas, but might swim and struggle to swim through the early iterations of a very pointed product. Like, my takeaway right now is you guys might still have a hard time defining the 1, 2, or 3 things that are going to really hook and drive ramp of your product, right? That's what I'm concerned about after 6 minutes. And that's what you kind of want to de-risk in any of these pitches. Doesn't matter who presents today. If I'm confused or not totally sure on what the product is trying to attack, the 1 or 2 things you're trying to solve and test on, it's going to be hard for me to want to take the 2nd and 3rd meeting, although I totally understand the space and I get it. So yeah, that's a lot of high-level feedback. And I would say just start with the end of your presentation and just bring that to the front. Take the solution and the product edge and talk about that way up front. And then, yeah, use your data point. 99% are confused, and hook the audience there, but get to the substance a lot quicker would be my recommendation.
Yeah, this may sound harsh, but I would say I would just get rid of the entire presentation and start all over, because I understand the industry. And so at the end of it, what I was like, I know that there's something valuable here, and yet I couldn't articulate it at all. I couldn't tell you who the customer is. I couldn't tell you how, I kind of got there at the end. I'm like, okay, I think this is for advisors too. Like, at the beginning, I'm like, is this for a self-directed investor to, like, as a supplement to, like, Morningstar research? Like, that was my original are they taking on Morningstar? Like, who are they doing? Are they embedding in Robinhood to help people, like, better make choices, or are they selling it? Like, I couldn't get there, right? Like, I just really couldn't get there. But I know if I were to take a guess at what I think you guys are doing, I think it's I think it can be a valuable tool. And so I think that, yeah, I mean, part of it is you got to get it, like, 6 minutes goes really fast, right? So kind of starting with the outline of these are the 15 I almost, every time I put together a presentation like this, I write 15 sentences and I say, if I only said these 15 things in 6 minutes, would people generally get what we're doing? And then from there, I'll build out kind of visually how I want people to like internalize those 15 sentences, and 15 is an arbitrary number. So don't think that's like a written in sand kind of thing. You know, I think that, and I think that's really kind of the big takeaway. I think clearly the people is a differentiator. You brought it up front, right? Like you've got a lot of industry experience, but up until then I couldn't, other than knowing that you've built a financial product and that you've all worked at sort of Wall Street firms, like I didn't know what the product was, right? So I can't tie back whether or not that is a world-class team, right? Like, cause I don't understand if it's relevant to that particular side of the equation. So yeah, kind of get me to the product. I felt the 1%, 99% thing was a little, like I had a hard time sort of understanding what we were trying to say there.
Yeah.
I just think I do think there's a big opportunity to just kind of reimagine the story. I think it's there. But just start with those, like, these are the 15 data points I want people to walk away with, and build a really tight presentation that goes down that path.
Yeah.
Because I think there's something there, but as an investor, I would have left that pitch going, I'm not following up. Right?
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going on. And so I'm just going to like move on. And
it feels like you're trying to boil the ocean, which is not a problem inside of an incubator accelerator, but leaving the accelerator incubator, you have to have a tighter articulation, and your 3 or 5 versions of pitches, 5 pages, 5 minutes, 10 pages, 20 minutes, whatever it is, have to not leave anyone confused. One other point I want to throw in there: if ESG is being used in a specific kind of intentional way, I think, and I say this because I'm in that space 24/7, the level of scrutiny being applied to, wait, you're going to use ESG to differentiate, like you're going to get pressed on that perhaps harder than you might anticipate, I think. And so make sure there's some substance behind why the ESG component of your solution is there. If it's still to be discovered and not tight, I think you'll get called on that, because there's a lot of people actually starting with ESG because it's an easier concept, I think, for people to kind of latch onto right now. Like, I want to decarbonize my wealth building. I don't want any exposure to oil. If that's the hook, like, hit that hard. If it's not, stay away from it, because you'll get caught kind of greenwashing or ESGing your pitch, and that's not good. I'm not saying you're doing that, but you need to be tighter there too. Just, yeah.
Okay, thank you for feedback. I mean, look, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's great feedback. I mean, we do think we say a lot of these things that you say we don't. So therefore, we need to sort of basically go back and actually have a think about that.
Yeah. It's a tough format to
sure.
5-6 minutes is not easy. I can sit here and give advice, and I'm not good at it, I don't think myself.
Yeah. Look, I mean, so I mean, as you might imagine, we are very differentiated when it comes to doing these things, right? So we are very differentiated from an ESG perspective, and very differentiated how we sort of select the funds, and also how we sort of monitor them. So,
Cool.
And there is nobody who does it, so that's fine. But if it doesn't come through, then we obviously need to sort of have a think about sort of how we sort of phrase it.
Yep. Awesome.
Great job, guys. Thank you very much.